Let's talk about a time before every single person wanted to be an influencer. A time before Instagram was the giant it is today. This story is about a girl named India Love Westbrooks. A decade ago, she wasn't just famous on the internet, she was deemed as one of the baddest in the game. Her influence was so massive that millions of people were literally stealing her photos to create fake profiles and pretending to be her to catfish people on the internet. She gained her early fame from being known as the It Girl on Tumblr. Every girl wanted to replicate India Love during her early fame on Tumblr, setting a blueprint we see for influencers now. She had the stunning looks, the right connections, the perfect opportunities, and she was famous at exactly the right time to become even bigger than the Kardashians. She had the social media world right at her fingertips when it was taking off. Somehow, she managed to squander what could have been an incredible opportunity. The choices she made turned a moment of massive potential into one of the biggest missed chances in social media history. She attempted to launch a music career, even collaborating with major names like Lil Yachty and Skilla Baby, but it fell flat. The failure wasn't due to lack of talent or resources, but because she seemed more focused on stirring controversy and chasing shock value instead of building a sustainable career. But every time she was handed an opportunity to elevate her career, she somehow turned it into a scandal that did more harm than good. This became the most unsettling pattern in her entire story, time and time again. She chose short-lived drama and viral attention over the slow, difficult work of building something long-lasting. So, what went wrong? How did the girl who once seemed destined for long-term success lose it all? When people say India had it all, they're not wrong. She had the looks, the connection, the access, everything that screams It Girl. Her beauty went viral before viral was even a word. She was showing up at A-list events, rubbing shoulders with rappers, actors, and influencers who would later copy her style. The lashes, the poses, the whole Instagram baddie vibe. That didn't come from nowhere, it came from India Love. But what nobody realized back then was how quickly it would all start to fall apart. She wasn't just an influencer, she was legit. Real modeling contracts, major brand deals, music video cameos with top-tier artists. She was dating star athletes and rappers. India was living the life everyone wanted. But now, while the very blueprint she built turned other women into billionaires, now she's stuck trying to claw her way back, hopping on live streams and chasing a fraction of clout she used to have. To really understand the downfall of TikTok's most hated pick-me girl, we have to go back to where it all started. In 2011, Tumblr was the heartbeat of internet culture back then, before Instagram models, before influencers, and before internet became a business. It was a different digital world, and in this new world, India Love appeared seemingly out of nowhere. The second India started posting, it was game over. Her photos didn't look like her average Tumblr selfies. The outfits were designer, the makeup was perfect, and a body that didn't seem real during that era. People were instantly hooked. Everyone wanted to know, who is she? How does she afford this lifestyle? Is she related to someone famous? Nobody had real answers, and that just made her even more fascinating at the time. And this is where the story takes its first dark turn. That picture-perfect image, the luxury lifestyle, the fame, and the mystery was all built on one massive lie. The entire rich girl fantasy that made India famous wasn't real. Behind the filters, the designer labels, and the mysterious lifestyle was one shocking truth she kept hidden from everyone: her real age. In interviews, she later admitted she had been famous since she was 15 and how she was just taking pictures on Tumblr.
Yo, how long you been famous?
Since I was like 15.
What did you do?
I'm 29.
What did you do?
I was just taking pictures on Tumblr.
What?
Yeah, I was a Tumblr girl.
What?
Taking pictures. And then just grew from there.
Just taking pictures?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't as innocent as just taking pictures. When India Love first went viral, she was only 15, a literal teenager. But her online persona told a completely different story. She was photographed at nightclubs meant for adults, drinking, smoking, and hanging around much older people. The most unsettling part of this situation was that millions of adult men were obsessing over her photos, sharing them across the internet, and essentially idolizing her as their dream woman. The problem was they were looking at and a minor without even knowing it. This became even more disturbing when we realized that her images became a popular tool for catfishing. Grown men were stealing her pictures to create fake profiles, using her face and persona to trick unsuspecting people into online relationships. Her face was a valuable commodity being used without her permission for all sorts of shady purposes. Scammers began using her photos to promote everything from fake hair brands and diet pills to convincing people that India herself was endorsing them. The online chaos around her image was completely out of control. But instead of being destroyed by it, India learned to profit from it. She realized her face could move trends, sell products, and dominate timelines. And as Tumblr started to fade and Instagram began taking over, she was already perfectly positioned. With name recognition, followers, and undeniable influence, the mysterious internet girl was about to reinvent herself as an Instagram model, turning the chaos that once exploited her into an Instagram empire. Back in 2013, India Love pulled a power move straight out of the influencer playbook. She packed up her massive Tumblr following and moved over to Instagram. But here's where it gets juicy. India wasn't just posting selfies anymore. She was evolving, doing paid modeling gigs, appeared in music videos with artists, and doing photo shoots with celebrities like Naomi Campbell and Kendall Jenner. There was one relationship, though, that completely stole the spotlight. Her high school romance with Ron Robinson, a football player who later went to UCLA. The two were basically the definition of relationship goals back then. India had built this whole image around being the perfect girlfriend, gorgeous, put together, living that it girl life, and dating a guy with a promising football career. But this is where things really started to go downhill for India Love. She had built her entire image around that relationship. Her brand wasn't just India, it was Ron's girlfriend. So when it ended, her whole identity crumbled. She didn't just lose a boyfriend, she lost the person she'd been selling to the world. What could have been a normal high school breakup turned into a full-blown public meltdown. And for the first time, people saw the cracks in her carefully curated image. That breakup didn't just hurt her emotionally, it exposed something much deeper. India didn't know who she was without someone else defining her. And that insecurity would end up shaping every messy relationship that followed. By 2024, things between Ron and India had started to fall apart. That year was a turning point. Ron was finally getting noticed by college football scouts, and suddenly, his future looked wide open. Big schools were calling, and UCLA was on the horizon. It should have been an exciting time, but underneath all that momentum was a ton of pressure. The biggest issue? Ron was about to move to UCLA to chase his dream, while India was still stuck finishing high school in Corona, California. The thought of trying to make a long-distance relationship work, different cities, different schedules, different worlds, felt impossible. But let's be real, the core issue wasn't distance or timing. It was that India couldn't handle not being the center of Ron's world anymore. They'd been the it couple for so long that she was used to all his attention. But now, Ron's focus was shifting to training sessions, calls with recruiters, and his future. And while his career was taking off, India started feeling invisible. So, she did what a lot of people do when they feel themselves slipping out of someone's spotlight. She turned to social media. Her Instagram started filling up with more attention-seeking photos. These weren't random selfies. They were carefully chosen to get a reaction. It looked like she was trying to make Ron jealous, or at least remind the world and maybe herself that she still mattered. Each like and comment gave her a quick hit of validation, but it couldn't replace the connection she was losing. The harder she tried to get his attention online, the further she pushed him away. The breaking point came not long after Ron started his new life at UCLA. That's when rumors, and eventually photos, started circulating of him flirting with other girls at college parties. For India, it was a gut punch, but instead of dealing with it privately, India did what she had become best at. She took it to social media. Suddenly, her posts turned cryptic and cold. Song lyrics about betrayal, quotes about fake people, captions like, "You know what you did." It was clear who those messages were for. Every post became a public jab, a way to shame him, to make him feel the sting she was feeling. What had once been a relationship became content, and their breakup turned into a public spectacle. However, Ron's response was not what she expected or wanted. When it ended fast, and it was brutal. Ron didn't post a response, didn't try to defend himself, didn't even send a text. He just disappeared. Within days, India found herself completely cut off, blocked on Instagram, Twitter, even through messages. No warning, no explanation, no closure, just silence. For someone like India, whose entire online identity had revolved around their picture-perfect image, that silence was devastating. It wasn't just heartbreaking, it was humiliation played out in front of everyone watching. The fallout from the breakup hit almost instantly. India's entire online world started to shift. Her engagement dropped. People had followed her for the couple's content, and once that was gone, so was their interest. Suddenly, her solo posts weren't pulling the same numbers. In an effort to fill that void, she started dating other athletes, trying to recreate the spark and the attention she once had with Ron. But each new relationship felt less genuine, more like a performance than a connection. Behind the scenes, things weren't even better. Her mood swings made her difficult to be around, and even her family started to feel the tension. But the real damage wasn't just public. India's sense of self-worth had completely unraveled. She began chasing validation anywhere she could find it, defining her value through the man she dated. The confident girl who had once thrived in the spotlight now believed she only mattered when she was standing next to someone famous. That breakup ended up teaching India all the wrong lessons that would define her entire young adulthood. Instead of learning how to stand on her own and build confidence from within, she came to believe that her worth depended on who she was dating. To stay relevant, she felt she needed bigger names, more attention, more validation. The heartbroken girl who once couldn't stand being alone started to evolve into a woman who would do almost anything to avoid that feeling, even if it meant getting caught in toxic relationships or sacrificing her self-respect just to keep someone around. It was as if she was trying to fill an emptiness inside her with other people's fame and affection, chasing a sense of importance that never really lasted. That mindset she built as a teenager would come back to haunt her, and it led straight into the next major scandal of her life, involving the rapper The Game. Every messy headline, every public breakup, every bad decision the websites obsessed over, they all trace back to this pivotal moment in her youth. This is when she absorbed the most damaging lesson of all, that her value didn't come from who she was, but from who wanted her. From then on, India started measuring her worth through other people's fame, and that belief would shape everything that came next, setting the stage for a long, painful, and very public journey for India Love. However, it wasn't all bad news for India. She had one major advantage that most other influencers and aspiring celebrities could only dream of having: legitimate, powerful celebrity connections through her family. Her father wasn't just any businessman. He owned multiple successful companies, but the most important one was a company called Royal Blunts. The others were landscaping sectors, and has also held the position of Senior Strategic Finance Manager at OneTrust, a technology firm specializing in privacy, security, and compliance solutions. Royal Blunts, though, wasn't just any regular company. It was a highly popular tobacco wrapping company that was deeply involved in hip-hop culture and celebrity life. Royal Blunts became a major piece in hip-hop culture, backing some of the biggest events in the scene, from exclusive BET Hip-Hop Awards after-parties to high-profile album release celebrations for artists like Wiz Khalifa. They even supplied products for private smoke sessions featuring icons such as Snoop Dogg. The company also regularly supplied their products for music video shoots featuring major artists like Rick Ross, Baby Bash, and French Montana. This unique family business gave India countless networking opportunities with music industry executives and the biggest celebrities in the world. It was a level of access that money can't always buy, providing her with a platform and visibility that instantly set her apart from everyone else trying to make it online. On top of that, her sister Morgan wasn't exactly an outsider to the music scene either. She built her own name as a music video model and was personally connected to several well-known producers. Through mutual friends, she had ties to major labels like Atlantic Records and even Cash Money Records. Morgan had actually been featured in music videos for major artists, including Chris Brown, and had formed close relationships with key industry figures who easily help her and her family. At the same time, India's oldest brother, Warren, had his own surprising ties to the industry. He had kids with someone who was directly connected to the management circle of rapper Tyga through his label Last King Entertainment. Last Kings was a full-scale operation managing multiple artists, running major tours, and even partnering with powerhouse labels like Lil Wayne's Young Money Entertainment and Republic Records. Having family connections to a powerful company like Last Kings was like having a golden key to the entire world of fame and music. It wasn't just about saying you knew someone, it meant you had real access to their entire incredible network. Think about the biggest stars you can imagine. This connection gave her a direct link to superstars like Lil Wayne, Drake, Nicki Minaj, and the entire famous Young Money crew. But it went way beyond just the artists on stage. This network also included the major music executives and included the tour promoters. Those powerful family connections completely changed India Love's trajectory. She went from being just another Instagram model posting glam shots to becoming known for moving inside the same circles as celebrities. India was personally invited to Drake's exclusive VIP-only after parties, sitting at the same table as Kim Kardashian and the Jenner sisters, and getting invited to private studio sessions. She was living the kind of life most people only dream about. Her relationships were deep and real. India wasn't just brushing shoulders with celebrities at public events. She was actually part of their inner circles. She was in their private group chats. She got invited to personal family gatherings and birthdays. To these A-list teams, she wasn't some outsider or fan trying to fit in. She was treated like one of them. Kylie Jenner saw her as a close friend. India even had the direct phone numbers of major artists. But unfortunately, with all this fame, friendship, and opportunity laid out in front of her like a royal feast, India Love was about to make a single, very poor decision. Back in 2015, when India Love started dating rapper The Game, it looked like a great move for her. Dating a big-name rapper opened doors most people could lead to exclusive events, fashion collaborations, and a new level of credibility that went far beyond Instagram likes. But there was one major issue that everyone seemed to notice right away. India was only 18, barely out of high school around 2014, while The Game was 34 to 35. But what happened next was so much worse. Paparazzi secretly took photos of India Love and The Game in an extremely humiliating position at a public park in Los Angeles. Almost instantly, they went viral, spreading like wildfire across every social media platform like Twitter and Instagram at the time. This specific scandal completely and permanently changed how the public viewed India Love. She went from being seen as an aspirational and stylish it girl that people admired and wanted to emulate, to being labeled as just another Instagram model who was only famous for who she was sleeping with. This situation was deeply humiliating and generated an unbelievable amount of buzz and public attention around India Love. Everyone talking about her, and television executives took notice. After years of talk and development, the BET network finally decided to begin production on their family reality series, titled The Westbrooks. The show was marketed as India Love's opportunity to rebuild her image. Executives at the network believed that family had the right mix of charisma and controversy to become reality TV's next big sensation, even dubbing them the Black Kardashians. India was casted as the show's main centerpiece to replicate how Kim Kardashian had been for her own family's empire. However, once the show aired, It exposed something that India Love's highly polished social media presence had always managed to hide. Her real personality wasn't exactly made for television. For years, fans had only seen a certain side of flawless selfies that painted her life. So when the premiere episode dropped, the confident persona that they'd seen online was what they were expecting. But what they got on screen was India was spoiled, detached, boring, and super bossy and entitled.
My name is India Love. You may recognize me from Instagram because I'm always on fleek. It's all of us. Do you think that I give a about what anybody has to say to me at this point in my life? Sitting here talking about...
if you want to bite like a Chihuahua dog, I'm gonna get off of you. Damn, all you doing is crying.
The show was canceled after just one single season due to painfully low ratings and a complete lack of public buzz. India Love had blown her biggest, most mainstream opportunity to transition from fleeting social media fame. After the game scandal and the flop of her reality show, India Love's career spiraled into what could only be described as pure chaos. Between 2016 and 2020, her name was constantly tied to a revolving door of famous men. Every few months, new photos would surface of her with someone different. The constant relationship headlines only made her look thirsty for attention. People began to question whether India was more invested in the fame that came from her relationships than in building a name for herself through her social media. What made it worse was how openly many of these men disrespected her, talking down on her in interviews and posts. They didn't treat her like someone to be valued or respected with her history. Things hit an especially embarrassing low when her ex, Ron Robinson, and her other former boyfriend, The Game, made a video together just to clown her.
Hey yo, shut it with my little bro, man. We in here, man. It's called If I you.
Moreover, other famous rappers like Lil Yachty and Soulja Boy got into arguments on the internet about who had been with India Love first.
Amigos, I just showed you the
So y'all good.
envy.
No, I don't even know what happened. Why y'all were beefing at all?
Okay, so I was talking to this girl named India Love.
There's always a girl involved.
Yeah, and we was talking for like a couple of years, you know what I'm saying? We was cool, you know? And we was cool for like 2-3 years, and Yachty called me one day. I posted a picture of her. We was on a TV show on BET called The Westbrooks or some shit. I don't know. I did a TV show for her. And I posted a picture from the TV show on my Instagram. Lil Yachty called me and he was like, bro, you gotta take that picture down. That's my shorty. Woo-dee woo-woo. So before I even say anything to Yachty, right? Y'all listening?
Yeah, I'm listening.
I call India and I'm like, yo, you dating Lil Yachty? If you know what I'm saying, I'll take this shit down. She like, I don't even know Lil Yachty. Like,
oh, really?
She like,
they were dating.
She like, I never met him before.
Also, multiple songs were also made about her.
I guess you mad cause I Lil Yachty girl and he ain't never met her before.
I'm DDG.
I don't know no SKT.
That's my ball. That's my ball. Okay, that's my ball.
But the most devastating part of India Love's downfall wasn't the criticism or the rumors. It was the relentless leaking of her private photos and videos online without her consent. It was a complete invasion of her privacy, leaving her to face a wave of public humiliation and deep emotional pain that no one should ever have to endure. The leaks didn't just happen once. They stretched over several years, starting around 2016 and continuing as late as 2019. In the beginning, when the first leaks surfaced, the public largely rallied behind her. Many believed she was the target of hackers who had broken into her private accounts, and they sympathized with her situation. But as more and more leaks appeared, people's perception began to change. The timing started to look suspicious. Each new incident seemed to acquire right when her name was fading from the spotlight. Before long, the narrative flipped. Instead of seeing her as a victim, many began to suspect she was orchestrating the leaks herself, using scandal as a way to stay relevant and keep her name circulating in the media. In 2017, India Love tried to reinvent herself once more, this time stepping into the music industry in hopes of finally finding her breakthrough. She announced a collaboration with will.i.am, positioning herself as his newest developing artist. On the surface, it seemed like a promising move. A solid music career could have redefined her image and earned her real credibility beyond social media fame. But just like many of her past ventures, the excitement didn't translate into lasting success. The rollout was full of hype and social media buzz, yet the end result fell flat. Her songs came and went with little public intention, no viral music videos, and almost no critical recognition. Radio stations didn't pick them up, and the much talked about partnership with will.i.am quietly disappeared without closure or explanation. What could have been a turning point in her career instead became another missed opportunity. While India Love's career seemed to stay in the same place, other influencers who began their journey at the same time or even after her were building massive business empires. For example, people like the Kardashians didn't just stay popular online. They launched their own successful companies. They created lip kits, designed their own clothing brands, and developed other beauty products. They took their fame and turned it into something tangible, real businesses, long-term financial success, and genuine influence. That's what makes India Love's situation all the more confusing. To really understand her decline, you have to look at one recurring theme in her life: her relationships. Her relationship with Ron Robinson wasn't just another young love story. It was her most real, genuine, and grounding relationship. From 2010 to 2014, during their early days of her internet fame, Ron was by her side. He knew India before the spotlight, before the attention, before the fame started to change everything. But when that long-term relationship finally came to an end, something in her shifted. She seemed lost, emotionally unanchored, as if she no longer knew who she was or where her life was headed. That uncertainty quickly began to show. Her brief fling with rapper Soulja Boy, who became a warning sign of what was to come. What could have been a simple, private romance turned into a public embarrassment when years later, Soulja Boy brought up their relationship during a rap beef to humiliate another artist. It was the first time the world saw how India's personal life could be weaponized, how the men she dated could use her name and her past as ammunition. And unfortunately, it wouldn't be the last. But the real breaking point came with her next relationship, the one with the much older rapper, The Game. The massive age gap drew criticism from the start, and the entire relationship played out in front of millions on social media. What should have been private became entertainment. Then came the park incident. That single moment changed everything. From that point on, India's image began to crumble. The it girl everyone once admired had now become a living example of how fame, bad choices, and public relationships can easily destroy a reputation. Her situation with Lil Yachty followed the same familiar and destructive pattern: messy public drama, social media chaos, and India once again becoming a prop in someone else's story. Even her appearance in his music video ended up feeling more like for his own benefit than a smart career move on her part. At this point, even the smallest gestures sparked headlines. A simple comment from someone like Rick Ross was enough to ignite full-blown relationship rumors. It was clear that India had lost control of her own narrative. By 2024, India Love seemed ready to stage yet another comeback. This time by stepping into the world of live streaming. She began appearing on popular creators' channels like DDG's and even joined Kai Cenat's Streamer University. It felt like a chance to start fresh, but almost immediately, the same patterns began to resurface. Instead of using streaming as a platform to show her personality, she once again found herself caught in a male-centered drama that overshadowed everything else. The now infamous My Ball situation involving Duke Dennis and DDG became a clear example and a painfully familiar one. It was uncomfortable to watch, a 28-year-old woman being turned into a punchline. At that moment, it felt like history was repeating itself. Only this time, it wasn't 2015 anymore. What makes India Love's story particularly tragic is that she seems to have some awareness of her self-destructive patterns. In various interviews, she has openly admitted to struggling with seeking validation from men, having low self-worth, and making poor relationship choices. She has spoken about wanting to be taken seriously, wanting to focus on her inner beauty, and wanting to build something meaningful with her life. Yet, her actions time and time again consistently contradict these stated goals. This contradiction suggests a much deeper psychological issue.
Hey, hold on. Hey, hold on.
Okay. Okay.
To truly understand the massive magnitude of India Love's failure, we need to look again at what she could have achieved. Kylie Jenner, who India actually knew personally and partied with, serves as the best example of India's squandered potential. Two women had scarily similar starting points. They were both young, beautiful, and incredibly great with the social media era when it was first coming up. But the difference is, Kylie parlayed her social media fame into a billion-dollar cosmetic empire with Kylie Cosmetics and built a commercial juggernaut. Rihanna is another perfect example, demonstrating a masterclass in a successful brand being built. Her Fenty beauty empire, worth billions of dollars, was built on the very foundation of beauty and social media influence that India Love had access to a decade ago. Perhaps an even clearer comparison, and the one that hits closer to India's level of fame, is Ari Fletcher. Unlike India, Ari's rise came later, but she managed to turn her social media spotlight into something lasting. Through great business moves and great branding, she built a hair company and transformed her online following into real financial power. Ari didn't just date high-profile men. She leveraged her visibility into ownership, independence, and genuine influence, something India was never quite able to achieve. This was the pattern India kept repeating and ignoring. The time and time again, real opportunities were right in front of her. She could have launched a beauty line inspired by her signature makeup looks, a fashion brand built around her viral style, or even a lifestyle company reflecting the image she spent years creating online. The blueprint was clear, and others around her were already following it successfully. But instead of evolving into a businesswoman, India chose to remain just a personality, someone who existed for content rather than creating anything lasting from it. The Westbrooks reality show stands as India Love's biggest missed opportunity. BET had a clear vision. They wanted to create their own version of the Black Kardashians, positioning India as the centerpiece, the Kim Kardashian of the family. The potential was enormous. The Kardashians had already shown the world how to turn reality TV into an empire, using on-screen exposure as fuel for billion-dollar ventures in fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. And when the cameras turned to India, the magic didn't translate. What BET hoped would be charisma came across instead as entitlement and detachment. To viewers, she seemed unrelatable, someone who looked the part but couldn't carry the show's emotional core. When the series was canceled after just one season, it wasn't just a programming decision, it was a public verdict. India simply couldn't carry a show on her own. She failed to connect with audiences in a genuine, emotional way, the kind of connection that turns reality stars into household names. Meanwhile, others in the same genre used their brief moment of fame as stepping stones, building long-lasting careers that extended far beyond television. For India, the possibilities were endless. The show could have been her launch pad, the beginning of something much bigger, but through a mix of poor choices, missed effort, or maybe just indifference, she let every one of those opportunities slip away. India Love's story is the ultimate cautionary tale, a warning about wasted potential in the social media age. She had a golden opportunity. She had every single ingredient needed to become a true star. She had massive fame from her viral photos, a huge audience of followers, and the kind of recognition many people can only dream of. This was her chance to build an empire, but she chose, through a series of repeated bad decisions, and remained just a meme. Other smart influencers have clearly watched her story unfold and learned from her mistakes. They saw what happens when you don't have a plan. Instead of just being famous for being famous, they built sustainable brands that can last for years. They diversified their income, which means they don't rely on just one thing like sponsored posts. They make money from their own clothing lines, makeup collaborations, podcast deals, and creating multiple safety nets. They also maintain their relevance by growing as people and adapting to what their audience wants to see. India Love, on the other hand, continues to make the same errors in judgment that hold her back. She's still, to this day, seen chasing male validation, often getting attention for who she is dating rather than what she is accomplishing. She still courts cheap controversy, starting online fights, or making shocking statements just for temporary buzz. And because of this cycle, she is still failing to build anything meaningful or lasting that she can be proud of when the spotlight inevitably fades. India Love had everything: the looks, the connections, the timing, the blueprint, and she lost it all because she never understood the crucial difference between famous and being truly, meaningfully successful.